And welcome to a digital cash revolution, or should we say evolution? So, we're a new show here in Phoenix, and we're here to demystify the thoughts about Bitcoin and Bitcoin accessories, or whatever you want to call it, cryptocurrencies, digital cash, all of these newfound monies that are here to subvert the government. And we're going to let you know how you can get involved with Bitcoin and digital currencies, cryptocurrencies, without getting screwed, how to set up wallets, what to do and what not to do. So we've got some local experts, and there's going to be some resources right here in Phoenix where you can actually go to and find out what to do. And with me here is Doug.
Yes, hello.
And,
I am with Phoenix Crypto. We are a local cryptocurrency and digital currency trading company here in Phoenix.
well, so Doug, tell me about the class that you're wanting to get started here, because we're trying to reach the people who don't know anything about cryptocurrencies, because they tune into the television and all they hear are things about Bitcoin's for drug money and this and that, and it's crashed, it's done this, it's done that. But we want to find out what the truth is, and how people can get involved in this, or if they want to be involved in it, why they need it and what it means. And what does it mean to you?
Bitcoin to me means freedom, freedom of choice, freedom to use the currency that I choose or transact with the people that I choose to transact with on my terms, instant rather than delayed, and immediate settlement. So many of these things that we'll cover on the show, talking about why Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies are so important, why we're excited about them, what the future holds, why it's different than what you're used to now.
Well, it's obviously a tool for the everyman, because about a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, something like that, I was in San Diego. I went to a bankers conference, and I was there to ask them about blockchains and cryptocurrencies and how that applied to the banking system. How would they be able to use it? And they shut me down, man. It's like that's the bad word. They don't want you around there. So the mechanics behind Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies are the blockchain. Now, see, that was kind of a good word. We can talk about that. That's not a problem. But if you talk about Bitcoin, it's bad. So it obviously frightens them, even though there was an actual crypto, well, not a real cryptocurrency, but Ripple was there, which is kind of a banker's option for cryptocurrency. So
Yeah, any transaction that they're not involved in, they're not able to monitor, they're obviously going to be concerned about whether lawful or not. But our freedom, our ability to choose, like I said, on our terms is extremely important, because without economic freedom, you can't have personal freedom, and vice versa.
So let's talk about permissionless, like how these cryptocurrencies are. Anyone can just open a wallet. Anyone can transact with no permission. So if you want to do business around the world, you can use this, and it doesn't have to be drugs. I mean, personally, I do some things with digital currencies that are pretty amazing. A lot of people love what I do. I mean, I'm traveling around the world. I'm building houses. I'm rushing into a hurricane to help people using only cryptocurrency. Like, we've had people try to donate dollars to us, and we refuse those donations. We only take cryptocurrencies. Just as a use case, we're trying to show to people that this is something that's of value. This is money of the people, by the people, for the people, and not by the banks and by the governments.
I think it's important to emphasize that with Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin doesn't care what you use it for. And the best way to kind of illustrate that for people is, we know in the early days of the internet, it was demonized a lot. That's kind of a part of the internet history that was kind of swept under the rug, but it was demonized as a den of thugs and heathens, and we eventually realized how much more good it did in the world than bad. But the internet doesn't care what you use it for. You can use it for good, you can use it bad. It's a tool. Exactly. And so Bitcoin is a tool. It's an ability. And so the tools that it can bring to developing countries and struggling countries, and bring banking to the unbanked and the underbanked around the world is extremely important in the coming future of the global economy.
Right. And who's your friend here that we have?
We've got Xander is here, and he is partner of mine here with Phoenix Crypto.
Hello.
Xander.
Mic
We
is
are
on.
we are a Bitcoin ATM, Bitcoin and cryptocurrency ATM operator in Phoenix. We've got locations throughout the city and some northern Arizona, so throughout Arizona. And we also do in-person
So,
trading. So
You mean this magic internet money can be gotten through an ATM? How does this work?
that's correct.
Magic.
Magic is
It's magic.
It's magic.
Okay. So tell me how these machines work and where can people find them around town?
You can go to our website at phoenixcrypto.com, and it's got all of our locations there. The way these work is very intuitive, and it'll walk you through the process. When you go up to the machine, it's gonna you'll need a phone number to register, and it'll give you some steps, and you'll need to go. And you'll need to have a wallet before you go to the ATM, and those are things that we really want to cover on this show: is how to set up a wallet and some of the basics. So I don't want to jump too far ahead. I think we should take some time to.
Yeah, definitely. Let's let people know what to do and what not to do. But go to. We always recommend the Edge wallet, which you can go to your Play Store, iTunes, whatever it is you use, and look for Edge wallet. And it's a simple wallet that allows you to use multiple coins, and it's pretty easy to download. So what about your classes? You're going to have some classes here in town. Tell me more about that.
I think along with this show, one of the most important things for the ecosystem right now is education. That's what I come across more often than anything else is people, maybe they've heard the buzzwords, Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. And we want to get out there and educate, and we are going down that road where we are going to be starting that setup. Stay tuned, and we're going to have those.
Right. How do you buy it? I mean,
yes.
I guess the meetups or these classes, this is the place where you're going to want to go to meet people who are going to, help you figure out what exchange to use or who to buy it from. A lot of the times what you'll do is when you go to these meetups, and you have a monthly meetup here at one of the local pizza shops.
Yes.
Is it Classic Crust Pizza? Yeah. So you can go there, hang out, meet the people, and they will generally just sell you some at cost, and you won't have to worry about paying the large markup of exchanges. But the community is very, very enthusiastic about this kind of money. They really want you to get involved and start using it. It's quite a feeling. I mean, personally, my income is 100% on cryptocurrencies, and I live off of that. And sometimes it's hard to do a workaround or whatever, but it's also exciting to have to do it. I love it. So when are these classes going to take off?
We've got our next one coming up June 6th, and that is going to be at the Monastery in Mesa, Arizona. I don't have the address off the top of my head, but if you go to meetup.com or the Meetup app on Android or iOS and search for Arizona Bitcoin Meetup, you will find us there, and we're going to be hosting that June 6th.
June 6th. And the name of that location again?
That is the Monastery in Mesa.
And what is your plan for tomorrow? I mean, are you going to take back the power, and are you going to take back your financial power? That's what we're talking about. We're talking about cryptocurrencies. This is the people of the money. The money of the people, by the people, for the people. And Doug, let's get back into what you were talking about with these meetups and stuff that you're having. When the class, how are you going to structure this in order to teach people about how to trade and how to set up wallets and the whole thing?
Our approach is really at the basic level, starting at the basics, because that's what I get from the people that I talk to. A lot of these definitions they've never heard before, and so we can tend to take for granted when we explain Bitcoin to people. And I think it's important to reach new people, which is why we're here today too, is reach new people and talk about some of those basic definitions like decentralization and peer-to-peer, things that have only heard these buzzwords. And so I break down different terminologies and define things as basic as possible to just to kind of build that bridge between that knowledge gap.
Well, let's talk about buzzwords.
Yeah.
Peer-to-peer. What does peer-to-peer mean in digital money?
Peer-to-peer means that there are only two parties, and that is you as the sender and the receiver. And so how that contrasts to what we're currently used to in using our credit cards is there's multiple parties involved in a credit card transaction, which is, we wonder why credit cards get hacked and we have so many issues in the banking system and fraud and stolen identities and all these things, is because every time you swipe your credit card, you're basically giving away your login and password to your money, to your account, to all, I believe there's 7 parties involved
there's 7 parties involved in every
from
transaction.
the time it starts with your card, the merchant processor, the Visa on your end.
So that's a lot of points
the bank on your end. Yes, exactly. And so Bitcoin is 2 parties only, as opposed to relying on a middleman or a middle party that's going to facilitate our transaction for you. So the best example to illustrate is and compare is if I hand over a $20 bill from me to you, if I pay for my food, whatever, in cash, that's a peer-to-peer transaction. So that's peer-to-peer. And so there's no other parties. So Bitcoin is the brilliant invention of Bitcoin is that they found a way to do that in a digital form that had never been discovered before. It had been attempted. It's kind of the holy grail of some of the cypherpunks from the 90s. But
exactly. You'll hear the term.
You'll hear these terms, yeah. This holy grail of the internet, because we all know if you have an MP3, you can make 1,000 copies. So one of the questions, if you have a Bitcoin, how is it that you don't just make 1 million copies? And so the brilliant invention was that you can now hand over uncounterfeitable digital, that's why we use the term digital cash, digital currencies.
Right. And so, break it down further about, the peer-to-peer aspect of this. Like when you're doing credit card transactions online, the things that you're opening yourself up to, when you're sending a transaction, basically you're asking the bank permission. Like, yo, man, will you send some of my money over here, please?
Yes.
And in doing that, they've opened up all of your identity. And this is what opens you up to identity theft on the internet.
So all of these fees that we pay for the privilege to spend our own money, we're not even getting our money's worth, because when we're paying whatever these fees are to use our banking cards and our ATMs and all these different things, we're paying, and then and in turn, we're getting our identity stolen. We're getting, fraud is happening. And so Bitcoin really has the potential to eliminate all of that.
Yeah, exactly. So if I go to a website, Amazon or whatever, or cheapair.com, if I bought my plane tickets from Cheap Air to fly out here to Phoenix, and I just send my payment. I use Dash actually to send the payment, and it's a final complete payment right there. There was no permission. They didn't ask for any of my information, so I don't have to worry about some third party hacking their site and getting my bank numbers or anything like that and opening myself up. So,
well, in addition to the potential for fraud and hacking, is that ugly side that once they've got control of our money system, they can come in and tell us what we can and can't spend our money on. And that's the ugly side. And this is what Bitcoin enables, the freedom of choice.
Mm-hmm. Actually, there's a company here in Arizona that's working on something. So digital currencies are for the unbanked, right? What is the biggest unbanked legal entity that you can think of in Arizona, maybe California, Colorado?
Well, I would argue that the big Bitcoin is for the banked and the unbanked. But yes, the marijuana industry is certainly
exactly. They're having trouble. They're pretty much a cash-only business because banks don't want to do business with them because of federal regulations. So there's a company here in town that's actually working on a solution to that. They're called Alt36. Okay. And what this is going to be a digital payment kiosk system that will go inside of the dispensary. So where you can go, you can put your money in there and get reward system, get a reward, get your weed cheaper through using digital currency. And it's a kiosk. You just buy, you point and click at what you want, and then you go over to the bud tender guy there and he'll give you what you want. But it just allows people to transact outside of the banking system. So
on our own terms.
On your own terms, definitely.
Right.
So anyway, that they're working on getting that going, and that'll be a great thing for the banking industry, or excuse me, for the cannabis industry and for digital currency as well.
The number of things that this can enable is, just really the potential. And that's why you see probably a lot of you, if you have heard the word Bitcoin, maybe heard it through a friend, a lot of you have that psychotic friend that won't shut up about it, right? I've been that guy to my friends, and
yeah, I know. You're like that on the way over here. No, I'm kidding.
So, and so I think it's really what we want to do is make sure that we are putting ourselves out there to make Arizona a Bitcoin friendly state, Phoenix a Bitcoin friendly city. We want to help.
Arizona's already pretty free. I know.
Yeah.
I've noticed a lot of people walking around. I'm from Texas, and it's supposed to be like all pro guns and everything. And here you are. You're just walking around with a gun on your hip. Like, you know, I mean, I'm from Austin. The liberals would just like attack me in the streets if I had a gun on my hip.
Yeah, you said, are we allowed last night? So are we allowed to go in the store? Do we just walk in the store like that?
Yeah. We went into a convenience store last night wearing a gun. I'm like, oh no! And there's even a cop in there. Yeah. So.
I would say I'd probably venture to say that he was the more dangerous of the two of us.
Well, I don't know about that. You were carrying a bag of Bitcoin, so.
Oh yeah,
definitely. Anyway, so
I think we should take it up, and we'd like to open up some callers.
Yeah, okay.
and see.
Sure. If anybody has a question about Bitcoin, go ahead and give us a call. It's 602-277-KFNX, which is 5369. That's 602-277-5369.
In the presentations that I do, I find that the dialogue that happens after the presentation is the most valuable portion of it, because you can sit at your computer and YouTube and Google things, for hours on end and not really get the answers that you really, in the environment where you can sit in front of someone and get your questions answered in a dialogue,
right,
can be so much more valuable. People come to my presentations, then they learn more in an hour or in a Q&A session than they do or two or 3 days worth of Googling and YouTube.
Yeah. So what all kinds of people are you dealing with when, you get shady people, give me some legitimate uses that you find, because you're dealing in Bitcoin all the time with your ATM. So who's your customer base?
We see, what I love is we see some of the older generations, some of the baby boomers and the others, and that was kind of a surprising demographic that we discovered over time. We've been doing this since 2013. And a lot of them, the stock market's been doing well for, going on a decade now, and some of them reaching retirement age. And now some of them are sitting on healthy retirements, and they're concerned. They're concerned about the dollar. They're concerned about the stock market. And so they're looking to hedge. They're looking for places to put their money that are going to be safer.
These are investment opportunities for people. Just anyone can get in. You don't have to be approved or whatever, be an approved investor and whatever it is that you need to get into the stock market. This is a much easier way for everybody to get involved. But there are some dangers and pitfalls that you have to worry about, especially with like the markets rising. I think one of the worst things that happens really in this whole thing is the market cycle, where the new people will get all excited because, well, what was it, December, we were at almost $20,000 for one coin. And so everybody was just going crazy and frantic. I had just dozens of people calling me because they, friends from high school or whatever, and they wanted to know about the coins. And so, I'm telling them, but how do we let them know not to get involved at the wrong times?
That's where seeking out a good consultant, someone who's not going to try to snake oil salesman some Bitcoin to you, but actually talk to you and break it down. That's what we do. That's what we pride ourselves on, is consulting with people and giving them the pitfalls.
Well, when we get back, we'll talk about that, and you can give us some more information. Welcome back to this digital cash evolution, not the revolution, because we're not trying to revolve. We don't want to do it again. We just want to tear it down, change it, right? So, Doug, let's get back into the cryptocurrencies here. And a common question, actually, your friend here asked that, what is it backed by? I mean, does the government back this? Is there gold somewhere, or what? Is there a dude with a gun? Tell me what it's backed by.
Yeah, one of the short answers is it's backed by math. But in reality, that doesn't mean anything to anyone.
My grandma's not going to know what that means.
Yeah, right. So that's what we want to do here on the show, is give people an idea of the break it down for them, make it easy.
Right.
So saying it's backed by math doesn't work. Bitcoin is backed by, I may defer to Xander here, see if he can help me out, because in trying to frame it in the easiest way possible.
Well, I would say the backbone of cryptocurrency is really the internet itself, because without the internet, you really wouldn't have cryptocurrencies at all. So if it's backed by anything, it's probably the transfer of electrons.
Mhm.
So there's something tangible there, which would probably be better than paper dollars.
Yeah, I think maybe the the way to explain that is to start at the beginning about what is the U.S. dollar backed by. Well, it's not gold anymore.
Paper.
Full faith and credit of the U.S. government.
Right.
Well, I think
Sorry.
the full faith and
Well, it's
credit,
backed-
the full faith of the.
It's backed by guns.
Yeah,
Of
well,
course. Yeah.
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 But I guess what I think it's backed by here. So Bitcoin and at least the currencies that are mined with proof of work, they're backed by electricity. It takes X number of dollars to be able to revert the blockchain back and change that transaction. So the ability to have a transaction, you're able to actually send a piece of data to somebody that says that you own, that assigns this much wealth to that piece of data, and no one can change that. No government, no gun, no nothing can change that. So you have this piece of data holds that amount of value, and you can send it anywhere to anyone that you want, and no one can stop you. And that's what it's backed by, is that the network is immutable. You cannot change that.
and in fact, what you find when you add those properties, all of the properties that Bitcoin has, what you find ultimately is that it's backed by confidence, which is ultimately what most fiat currencies are backed by, which is confidence. One of the most important factors, not the only, but one of the important factors, are backed by confidence. And so the ability to know that you can spend it wherever you go, and all the different properties of any good money, scarcity, divisibility, portability, so those things. And so once we get the confidence, and then that's what right now is.
So we have a caller named Mike. Let's go ahead and get it. Mike,
Okay.
Are you there?
Yes.
So where are you calling from, Mike? Phoenix? Okay.
I'm calling from Phoenix by Central and Dunlap.
Awesome. So what is it you want to know about cryptocurrencies? I mean, what do you think it's a scam, or what's your feeling on this?
Well, I've known about cryptocurrencies for a long time. I'm one of the principals of a local blockchain software company called Stepwise. We're headquartered in Mesa.
Awesome.
I'm calling in just to show appreciation for what you're doing here. I'm glad that this is happening on the radio.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks a lot.
Hey, Mike.
Mike's been a long time part of the community too, and so I know Mike
okay.
well, and so yeah, we got a core, fun group of guys in town, and so we mentioned Classic Crust earlier. So if you're not able to make the
Was
actual,
this Mike from Classic Crust?
yeah,
Yeah, man, this is where I went last night. I used this magic internet money to buy my pizza and my beer. So if you think that you can't transact, there are a dozen or so businesses around Phoenix that accept this, and these are great places to go. And if you're using crypto, of course, support them. But it's also a good place to go to learn and find out about it. So, Mike, you showed me last night this app that you had.
No, Mike was the patron who came in.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Alex is the owner of
all
Classic Crust.
right. Okay, Alex, you're the guy with
But
the
Mike, Mike
I
has
have
this Stepwise, this blockchain consulting company. that he's
Right,
talking about.
right. And can you give us a little breakdown of what this Lightning Network did? I seen you trying to use the Lightning Network last night, but it didn't seem to work. And I've heard that the Lightning Network is kind of a check cashing platform. What's up with that? Mike, are you
Did
there?
I don't recall anything about the Lightning Network yesterday, but the Lightning Network is sort of it's a system that adds intermediaries to the Bitcoin sort of ecosystem. It essentially makes transactions within trusted intermediaries cheaper in times when there's a lot of competition for space on the blockchain. As anybody who's been around with Bitcoin for a while, we've seen transaction fees go from, fractions of a cent to sometimes 20 or 30 bucks or more, depending on how fast you want to send the money, how congested the network is, and all of that stuff. So Lightning Network is a proposed solution to a problem that doesn't really need to exist. Ultimately, what the Lightning Network is doing is it's implementing a lot of the types of features that the old world banking system would like to see as part of Bitcoin. And if you look at some of the funding for how the the development of Bitcoin has been over the last few years, you'll see that a lot of that funding actually comes from Bilderberg connected companies. So
What's a Bilderberg?
well, that's
I'm just kidding. That's just a joke. But I'm sorry, I confused you with the owner. I didn't realize you were actually one of the other patrons. So there were I was in this pizza place last night, and this was amazing to me because I was there 2 hours, and the majority of the customers that came in actually transacted in cryptocurrency versus the dollar. Like they're out of 10 customers that came in, like 7 or 8 of them were all using cryptocurrencies at the shop. So if you're a store owner, if you own a business, it's not going to hurt you to go ahead and look into accepting cryptocurrencies just so you can get new customers, because these let's face it, these cryptocurrency people, they're kind of crazy, and they're out there looking to spend their money with a loyal business. So if you're accepting it, hey, all you're going to do, the worst that's going to happen to you is you're going to get more business.
Yeah, and in getting back to basics about wanting to reach our audience here with some of the definitions and basics is a lot of times the consumers don't really see the benefit. I get that question a lot. Why would I use Bitcoin? It's a different story if you're a merchant, if you're a business owner. They experience chargebacks, fraud, all of those things. Anytime there's a chargeback on a credit card, the money gets reversed. It gets pulled back from their account.
So you're trying to tell me that I can't charge back on crypto?
That's exactly what I'm telling you. So yeah, if you pay in Bitcoin, it's a voluntary interaction between two people, like I said, peer to peer. So unless you get back together and mutually agree, as a customer and a merchant will do in a physical cash transaction, you got your receipt, the merchant will agree to give you back your cash, but you can't pull it back from the merchant. And the merchants who've had chargebacks, that really resonates with them. It's not so much with the consumer because we take it for granted. That doesn't hit our pocketbook when we reverse a transaction, or I should say, call and complain and say, I didn't authorize this transaction. Well, that comes out of the pocket of the merchant.
Especially if you're like a new business.
So accepting credit,
new business, the margins are pretty thin, and a few chargebacks can hit you pretty hard.
So accepting Bitcoin is like accepting cash. No one's going to reverse that charge on you.
Yeah. I mean, the reality is you're not going to get that many people coming in. Luckily, this pizza shop that accepts it, everybody in town knows who it is. So he gets all those customers. I personally had a roofing business in Austin, and I accepted cryptocurrencies for my roofing business. And all of the people that I knew in town who needed the work, they always called me. So, I can't say that I lost business. That's for sure.
Yeah, well, and the first mover advantage here is going to be huge. I mean, maybe you're not going to get a lot of Bitcoin transactions right now, but just like Classic Trust was one of the first to adopt it. So now it's become known as a place that you can spend your Bitcoin. And so you develop that customer base. It's going to bring in a whole new base. And maybe it's not a lot of transactions in the beginning, but when this thing goes global, when this thing goes huge, you're going to be a first mover and you're going to have that advantage. Speaking of it going global, that's kind of the double-edged sword for me. Why I love spending it, but in the same token, I know I'm spending thousands of dollars for this pizza. And, like the one guy that spent 10,000 Bitcoin for pizza.
That was 6 years ago yesterday.
That's a good story to touch on when we come back, maybe.
Yeah, well, yeah, because yesterday we still have a minute here.
Yesterday was Bitcoin Pizza Day. And so
what is Bitcoin Pizza Day?
Bitcoin Pizza Day is the well-known transaction that occurred. It was the very first transaction in Bitcoin for any service or anything of value. Bitcoins weren't traded for cash. They weren't traded for
6 years ago.
Yep, 6 years ago on May 22nd, 2010, an individual paid $10,000 for 10,000 Bitcoins for 2 large pizzas. And you look at the price of Bitcoin today, and
let's see. That's somewhere in the neighborhood of $82 million.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind
value. 82. You put your pinky in your mouth when you say this. $82 million. All right. Welcome back to the Digital Cash Evolution. And if you want to know a little bit more about cryptocurrencies, go ahead and give us a call at 602-277-KFNX. That's 5369. So we were talking about payments, right? So how does a merchant go about taking this magical internet money, and then how do they turn it into dollars, or is there an option? So that's entirely up to you. And so one of the beautiful things about these growing ecosystems is you have entrepreneurs that step in and
come up with service that try to help with these things, bridge the gap. So there's a couple merchant service providers, BitPay and Coinbase, and that was what the business would sign up for, and that will allow them to get their point of sale so that they can accept Bitcoin. And then the merchant has their option. They can choose if they don't want to keep Bitcoins and they just want to accept Bitcoin. BitPay, that service, will convert it 100% of it to cash or back to US dollar immediately. Or you can actually tweak the settings if you want to hold 50% of your sales in Bitcoin and convert
Right,
50% to cash.
So you're not worried about volatility.
They'll send it to your bank account.
You can start accepting this without any danger of the volatility because you're receiving dollars or fiat at that time.
Right.
So, what about other services? Like, are you familiar with Bitwage? Like, people can, like, if you don't want to have to deal with buying it from exchanges, there's a service called Bitwage where you can actually run your checking account through your paycheck, and they will convert it to whichever point. Say, I want to have 80% fiat and 20% crypto so that I can start saving. There's options like that out there.
And with Bitwage, you would just give them your routing number and checking number, the same that you would give you'd give the Bitwage account info to your HR department. Your HR department has no idea what's happening after they give you your direct deposit. It goes to Bitwage. Bitwage takes and allocates, like you said, 80% of it, turns it into Bitcoin, and you keep it that, and then get 20% in US dollar. That's just one of the services. There's so many services that are popping up right now that are making. The point is bridging the gap for people that are looking for some of those just basic questions, and that's what we're hoping to do at Phoenix Crypto is bridge that gap and educate people. And those questions are inevitable, and sometimes it's difficult to think of every question, but that's why we were hoping you guys are going to call in, and we're gonna
Well, I mean, one of the things that you can actually do. So if you're receiving cryptocurrencies, if you shop online a lot, if you like to use Amazon, and you don't make a lot of money and you want to save 20%, 30%, 40%, there's actually a service out there that will allow you to make your Amazon purchases and save up to 20, 30, 40% just by using cryptocurrencies.
And that's what I love. I think at the end of the day, the people that are hearing about Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, it's the use cases.
Right.
And that's what I want to talk
How
about.
often do you use Amazon?
Weekly. Weekly. Yeah.
So do you use Purse?
And so, I use Purse, and Purse is a way that you can spend, and it's a bridge. Amazon does not take Bitcoin directly.
If you're listening, Purse.io, go there and you will learn how to save money on Amazon purchases. Yeah. And you get to pick the percentage.
Correct.
So basically the way this works is this is a third party that makes purchases for you on Amazon. And you go to Amazon, you make your wish list, and you would import this wish list over to Purse.io, right? And then you put a bid up there. Say, I want to buy an iPad, right? Well, it's $400, whatever, right? Well, I want to save 20%. You'll probably get a buyer like right away for you. So what they're actually doing is they're taking Mechanical Turk from, I guess, India and all around the world, people who work for Amazon. Amazon, the evil company that it is essentially the company store. So people around the world, they're paying with not with cryptocurrencies, with Amazon tokens or reward points or Amazon dollars. I don't know what they're doing, but they can't buy the things that they need, everything they need with that. So they need access to other money, and Bitcoin gives them a way to do that. So these people will put their Amazon dollars or whatever up on the site here, and you're essentially buying it from them. So I want to buy this iPad, and I want to save 20%. No, I'm feeling really scroogey, so I want to save 40%. It'll take you a little bit longer maybe, but somebody will probably take that. And so imagine getting 40% off of an iPad or a computer. That's pretty big savings, especially if you're living hand to mouth,
And this is one use case, and that's why I think the more use cases we can present to the general public is the more they're going to start to raise their eyebrow a little bit and say, I get that question, why would I want to use Bitcoin or any other cryptocurrencies?
Because I like money. I don't know.
Until the services and this is, a growing ecosystem and it's young. as these services come in, and I don't have to sell it to you. I don't have to come up with a bunch of different use cases and sell you on Bitcoin. It sells itself. When you start seeing services around you, and maybe it's shopping on Amazon, like you just said, those discounts there, or paying your SRP bill. It could be any number of things. If you start saying, hey, by using Bitcoin, it's a utility to get me a discount on something, all of a sudden you're hearing the word Bitcoin. Why do I care? What do I need it for? Well,
when I hear it on the news,
you're not going to be asking that anymore.
When I'm hearing it on the news all the time, it's how evil it is and what drug dealers used it, and blah, 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 and on and on and on.
But no currency in the world is any good if you can't do whatever you want with it. I mean, that's the bottom line.
You know what sold it for me? I like making money on my money. I don't have to do anything, and I wake up and I make more money just by having Bitcoin most of the time. Right now we're in a down market, but most of the time.
Yeah. I mean, right now, like the more, like I said, just expanding on that, the use cases, if you start realizing that you can save money on different aspects of your life, maybe it's eventually your mortgage or whatever. And these things are coming, folks, and you are going to start to seek out Bitcoin on your own. It's not going to be hearing your crazy, annoying friend never shut up about it. You're going to be going to that crazy, annoying friend, because I've had those people, friends and family, come to me. Hey, I want to buy something online, and I came across a website that only accepts Bitcoin.
Right.
So now I need Bitcoin, and all of my 3, 4, 5 years of
you need to stay off the Silk Road.
talking about
No, I'm kidding.
of talking about Bitcoin with them, and they never really gave their attention much. All of a sudden, they have a need for themselves. Hey, I have a and they're coming to me. So
something that you said last night, and it kind of justifies us being on this network to try to reach people, is you said that the younger folks are using YouTube. So anything they want to know, they just go to YouTube and Google it. But the demographic here at this station is a little older. Explain that. I mean, tell me.
This is what we've discovered. I've realized over time that the younger generation, although the natural tendency is to think that, well, it's mostly the younger generation interested in crypto and whatever, so they might be our core customer demographic. Well, what we find is that the younger generation, they'll YouTube and they'll go and they'll figure it out on their own. But the older generation, they want someone to hold their hand, walk them through it, be able to answer questions. They want to shake someone's hand. They want to sit down and look them in the eye and especially when
I'm
you're
53, and that's
especially when you're trading dollars. I mean, people are spending real money on buying Bitcoin, and they're unsure and they need their questions answered. And the older generation doesn't go straight to YouTube to get their answers. And so that's where I love sitting down with people and answering questions, and that's my business, is consulting and talking to people and educating them.
How would you break it down? I mean, how do you, say your grandma comes in? How are you going to break that down to?
Well, luckily I have the advantage that if they're coming to me, then they already have at least some idea. Yeah, going straight to my grandma when she had no interest, that might be a tougher sell. That might be tougher to
the grandma button.
But if you've already have an interest and you're coming to me, then you already have that interest. And then at that point, I'm just a sounding board and an answer to some of your questions.
Hopefully the people that are developing the technologies for this will start realizing this soon. And as Ernie says, the grandma button. We need the grandma button. We need these things to be a little bit easier. But in the meantime, shows like this, I hope we'll be able to reach the general public and let them know. Also, your website, my website, you can go to thecryptoshow.com and see a lot of the stuff that we've done. Some of the information is there. One of our sponsors is cryptocompare.com, and they've got some great information. Definitely go to them. And Doug, your website?
We've got phoenixcrypto.com. Also find us on social media at PHX Crypto at pretty much every platform: Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. PHX Crypto, and we answer questions. We are engaging with our customers and our audience, and
PhoenixCrypto.com.
And PhoenixCrypto.com.
And how soon before we can get into these classes that you're going to throw?
June 6th is the next one, and then hopefully very shortly after we start expanding to more topics.